Oh my god.
Everyone's done that, even Arctis done that. It's fine.
Well, let's see. Well, my stream key changed.
Oh yeah, if you put reveal and you don't put it back to hide, then it automatically changes. It's a security thing.
We're now live. Oh my god. Alright, so I guess that was my mistake for the evening. So y'all don't get I'm sorry, you don't get an intro music. So to start everything all over again, hello everybody and welcome to Citrus Quest. With us today we have my lovely co-host Miss Steam.
Me out of these chains.
I broke everything. No.
God.
Our local authority on cinnamon rolls and the overall dark roast bean, we've got Buttons.
I will destroy you and everything you love if you ever call me that again.
And the wonderful wizard of puns, we've got Nexus.
Hey, I'm the black cat that broke everything, so blame me.
Sure, blame them. That works for me. Is it streaming live now? Are we actually live?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
thank
I'm
Christ.
chilling you out.
Can you link it to me? Because I can't see it.
Yeah,
Alright,
no problem.
Please link it to me.
We do have a topic today, and I will read the article first before we get into the topic, but it's kind of heavy, so if you guys are not up for a heavy topic, just a heads up, that's what we're doing today. Alright, so, Night in the Woods dev Alec Holowka? I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Alec dies days after abuse allegations, by Dalton Hopper on August 31st, 2019 in Gaming News. A few days ago, Zoe Quinn accused Night in the Woods developer Alec, again his last name, of abusing her. Shortly thereafter, the Night in the Woods team cut ties with him and announced that the game he was working on with him had been cancelled. Now we have learned that he has passed away, as announced by his sister Eileen on Twitter. According to Eileen, Alec passed away earlier this morning. Details of his death are unknown, but it's suggested by Eileen's statements that Alec committed suicide. We tried our best to support Alec, but in the end he felt he had lost too much, she said on Twitter. In the wake of Quinn's abuse allegations, Alec was receiving support from his family and Manitoba Crisis Services. Quinn's accusations against Alec detailed a period of about a month where he allegedly kept her from leaving his apartment, as well as emotionally and mentally abused her. After Quinn was finally able to leave Alec's apartment and return home, she ended their relationship. Quinn says that this resulted in Alec getting her blacklisted from important industry events while she was trying to start her gaming career. Eileen does not deny Quinn's allegations and says in her post that she believes abuse survivors. She added that Alec himself was an abuse victim and has also struggled with personality and mood disorders. I'll not pretend that he was also not responsible for causing harm, but deep down he was a person that wanted only to offer people care and kindness. Eileen described how Alec was taking steps to better himself over the last few years. According to Eileen, Alec had been going to therapy, taking medication. Alec had become a new person, she said, describing her brother as calm, happy, positive, and loving. Eileen said that Alec was working towards making a better life for himself before the Quinn allegations were posted publicly on Twitter. At the time of the writing, there's been no official statement of his death by the Night in Woods team or Zoe Quinn. So this is our topic for the evening. It is kind of heavy. But yeah, let's kind of... first impressions and whatnot.
So, the allegations weren't disproven. He did abuse her, apparently, but maybe he committed suicide because of the guilt, or...
That's the feeling that I'm getting, and
It's also said he had a personality disorder, and those are a bitch to deal with.
Yes.
yeah, those are not fun.
No, they are not.
Yeah.
Well, the thing of it is the allegations have not been proven or disproven at this juncture.
Yeah, and as much as the internet likes to go the other way, there should be an innocent until proven guilty metaphor, but not metaphor, but like mindset. Mentality.
Especially if it was offline, it's harder to be able to prove and disprove, so it's...
Yeah, the incident
You go.
Innocent until proven guilty thing. It is very important. Do the innocent until proven guilty with the guy who jumped off the bridge.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, the
Etika?
Akita guy.
Yeah, Etika. Like he needed mental help, but everyone just thought he was trying to get views and stuff.
It's really sad when people are going through emotional issues and people just say it's for attention and harass them to the point that they end their life and then act remorseful or say, well, I don't understand why this happened. And it's like, you should, because you understand the person to that point.
I do understand why people do it. There are a lot of people who fake that shit, and people have kind of got very desensitized to it.
And that's the worst part. Well, I think.
You go.
Yeah. No, I'm the Canadian. You go ahead.
No, you go. It's okay.
Yeah, as someone who's gotten to that point multiple times in their life where I felt that I had to, I don't understand why someone could fake it or why they would ever want to. Because the mindset that you're in is horrid and it makes no sense.
I've read articles and there's a YouTube channel I follow for psychology called Psych2Go, and people will fake being suicidal as something called emotional blackmail, and it's a way to make someone stay in a relationship or to be abusive and have control over someone. Because if you tell someone if you put all the pressure of I could die and end my life if you don't follow these requirements, or I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional because I actually was in one of these relationships. If someone like puts it all on you that you are the reason I am alive, or I will hurt myself if you leave me, that is automatically something that someone doesn't want to end the life of someone or be that reason, so it's going to keep them trapped. And another thing that I do want to point out is just because of course suicidalness and ideation is different for everyone. I'm going to put myself out there a little, but I've suffered severe suicidal ideation and clinical depression since I was 7 years old. And throughout my entire life, I have had many, many, many bouts of feeling like a burden, worthlessness. Hi, Gigi. I hear you meowing. But it is a fact of life I've had to deal with. I'm on medication, and it still gets difficult. Just because someone has a lot of bouts of being suicidal or severely depressed and feeling hopeless doesn't mean they're faking it. It could just mean that they're one of those cases. There are people like that. And I think that's what pisses me off is the internet will immediately assume that, oh, well, this person's been suicidal so many times, he must be faking it. When no, they just have a lot going on and their mental state isn't as stable as other people's.
A good way to don't really get it too much is so there's people who lie about rape cases, like being raped. A lot of the internet is now very, very skeptical and very, very skeptical when someone comes out and saying I've been raped, because there's so many people lately that's just lying about being raped for attention.
It's very sad.
That's another way to visualize it, I would say.
For a moment, to be clear, it's not necessarily just for attention. Sometimes it's attention, sometimes it's financial benefits, sometimes it's vengeance, but there are people who, and the major reason why I brought this topic up is because Zoe Quinn has been one of those people who in the past has made disproven allegations of sexual assault or harassment that...
Yeah, I do remember they've been pretty famous for that.
Yeah. And while in this situation I would not necessarily say with 100% certainty that abuse didn't happen, I am skeptical of Quinn's claims specifically because of her track record of making such a serious claim unfounded. The situations where she's been caught bull-faced lying about it. Like, I'm willing to take it at the benefit of the doubt because it is a important concept to believe survivors. But in this particular case, like I say with all cases, to be fair, don't go to Twitter to post about an abuse story. You go to the police, go to the proper authorities, speak to somebody that is you know and trust. And to be perfectly honest, going and throwing somebody into this cancel culture mentality that we've had as of recent, it is an actively negative act. You're not doing it out of putting it out there. At this point, you're doing it for the for that
Attention.
clout,
Attention.
for that the eyes drawn to you. And I used to watch one of Zoe Quinn's channels. She did a entire, I'm not sure which Pokemon it was, but she did an entire run with using nothing but Skitty. It was a poorly thought out run. You're not going to beat Pokemon with just Skitty, but it was a gimmick, and I could get that. They made respectable content at some point, but when it comes to them as a person, they have too far of a track history of lying about this stuff to gain eyes for me to outwardly and instantly trust them. I don't want this to seem like it's some sort of attack against Zoe Quinn. We are discussing the concept of cancel culture, the concept of making false allegations, the concept of suicide, all of these things, because it is very, very, very important that if you are feeling suicidal, to get help. I understand that not everybody wants to call a suicide helpline, and it is rough to lean on friends, but sometimes they're there to be that post for you to lean on when you need it.
Another reason I do want to bring up, I was actually in this position last year. Another reason you wouldn't want to get help is because you have a job, you have to make the money to keep your home, and if you don't show up to work, they could possibly fire you, even if you have the excuse of you're in the mental hospital. I was in Louisiana, and that is an at-will state, meaning they could fire you for any reason, even if you are medically excused. So I would have to deal with being suicidal and constant medical and mental issues and have to not get help because I didn't want to lose my home. It was a very terrifying situation, and it was traumatizing. So there are, unfortunately, difficult things that people have to do. But if someone is saying they're suicidal, don't play it off as they're being an attention whore. The only time I can think of actually seeing someone's attention whore for being suicidal or pretending to be suicidal is if they're constantly being like, oh, I could drink bleach, or making suicide jokes and comments or severe things, but then not getting help, and like either yelling at you when you try to say get help, or just refusing to get help, or just continuing to go when
So I am going to momentarily offer a bit of pushback to that concept.
Okay.
Because of the major reason that there are people out there who use those kinds of jokes as a coping mechanism. Like, a lot of the time when I'll be like, yeah, no, I genuinely want to blow my brains out. I do. But I'm using the humor of it to lessen that desire, to make it into a joke, not only to the people around me, but to myself. There are people who use humor to lessen their tendencies, and it is a thing. That's all the pushback I was going to offer on that.
Yeah, there is. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, it takes the weight off the shoulders. Like if you joke about something that's horrible happened to you, it kind of gives you less power. It kind of gives it less power and gives you more power.
Right.
Very much so. There is one other thing that I would like to say about why people don't go to the hospital and whatnot for when they're feeling suicidal, and this is actually the reason why I didn't go. And even though it's literally just across the street, it's because the hospital is incompetent. And I'm not just saying that because when you hear that, you immediately go, oh, well, you're just saying that because you don't want to go. No.
Because it's Canada.
I'm
sorry, I had to. No, there are mental health facilities here in the U.S. that are just as bad. Osawatomie is notoriously horrible.
Do you want to know what happened? I was... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
You start.
Okay. I actually went over to the mental health facility 4 years ago, and it was for depression and suicide. And do you know what happened over there? They gave me sharp knives every meals and left me alone in a bathroom with a razor.
Yeah,
They should get sued.
sounds like Osawanami.
And what
in-
happened? I'm sorry.
no, keep going. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. No worries. What happened was, and I was actually feeling suicidal recently, and people were like, "Oh, it's 4 years. Give them a chance." What it turns out is that a week later, I had found out from a former coworker who had been having domestic problems with their boyfriend, who had also had mental health problems, that they had gone to the mental hospital with police. And the police recommended they check in. The partner recommended they check in. Themselves wanted to check in, and the hospital released them that night.
Jesus Christ.
I do have to say that they won't just release you here, but they're run by they're usually run by private companies. And I'm not trying to make a capitalist versus non-capitalist argument on this, but like from what I've been told by now every Canadian I've met, the mental health support is not up to par in Canada. Like
No, it isn't.
there's too much catch and release, and it's a sincere danger. Steam, go ahead. You've been waiting patiently. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
In England, it's if you actually try to commit suicide, it's actually illegal to try and commit suicide.
Wait a moment.
It is.
You would
It is
actually-
illegal.
It's illegal to die? Wait a moment. I feel like I understand the intentions, but there's also some backward thinking there.
Was it?
It's basically if you attempted suicide, you don't go in mental facility. You actually go to prison. You know, technically murder.
That's
The thing is like if you try and get help for suicide, what they do is, and this is what people don't really tell you in England, they put you on a list, and if you make anything, even a suicide joke,
Excuse me?
horrible.
Yeah.
so,
England's
if you're
really bad.
suicidal, if you're suicidal in England, you can't actually get proper help because you have the risk of probably going to prison.
That's absolutely horrible. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's why certain individuals can never admit that they're suicidal in England.
Jesus.
That's actually horrible.
So we've got the US, which is just money driven, Canada, which is incompetent to the point of actual danger to their patients, and then you got England going, hold my beer.
I've heard there are other countries where it's much worse, but overall, I would say if you actually get the help in the U.S., like if you actually go there, they might hold you for a while because we have. They used to call it sectioning in England, I think, but basically what they'll do is they'll put you in until they decide you're better.
Yeah, I
and-
remember.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
you
a
go,
forcible
sorry.
commitment. And one of the
it-
major problems with that is you get stuck in there, and oftentimes people will actively deteriorate their mental health rather than improve because they feel trapped, and it's because they're trapped.
I can actually attest to this. When I was 18 years old, I attempted suicide. I actually died and resuscitated. And they kept me there for 6 months. But the
Yeah.
problem is that they worked on a 2-week learning period, and I was in the I was in the adolescent unit. So with the adolescent unit, they had like a level system: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Each level had privileges. If you didn't follow the structure, you were bumped down a level and levels taken away. If you went down to level 0, you had to be put into isolation. And basically, I went insane having to learn the same lessons, get up at the same time every day, and see people go home with their families or get visitors or go home for Christmas or something. And I was just stuck there because, one, I didn't have a home to go back to because I was in foster care, and my foster mother kicked me out, so they were looking for a place for me to stay. And on top of that, even just working on my mental health and getting better only to be just trapped there until they said I could go. I literally tried running out the door at one point. Like, I tried just escaping. I sat in the hallway screaming and crying, "Let me out, let me out, let me out." It was very deteriorating, and it was by far one of the most traumatizing things, because while it did help me in my mental state get better and realize I'm valid for my mental illness, I deserve love, and it gave me self-esteem. Like, yes, my self-esteem is bad these days, but before I went to the hospital at 18 years old, I
It,
I didn't have any. But at the same
yeah.
time, it also did significant damage because of the constant cycle I had to go through of the same meals, the same people coming in and out constantly, people having visitors and going home, and I was just always there waiting for my chance to leave, constantly counting the days, losing my mind, basically, like, there's a term, I think it's like a mouse in a cage or something like that.
Yeah, something
Rat
like
in a
that.
maze.
Rat in a maze. I was a rat in a maze constantly, and I even spent my 19th birthday there. Like,
Yeah.
So, to reveal a bit about myself, when I was younger, I think I was 21, 22, something like that.
So
I
around dinosaur age?
Oh, thanks. Doc's much older. Um,
I'm
when I was about 21, 22, I ended up going to a mental health facility here in Kansas known as Stormont Vale West. And I went in because I treated everybody like my family treated me. I thought it was perfectly acceptable. So I had taken a sharpened pencil because I was writing something. I don't even remember what it was, but I ended up knifing somebody with the pencil in the back of their oh god, what's that muscle called? The one on the back of the shin, the calf. Just
I,
right in there because I thought that was perfectly acceptable behavior when somebody pissed you off. So I ended up going in. I was committed for a little while, and
I think that's more impressive that you did that, to be perfectly honest, because I've seen some
yeah.
pencils are not that sharp.
It was a Ticonderoga number 2. They're pretty solid pencils. It broke, but like it was still. It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
Just to say, it's not easy to do, but the calf's kind of soft, and they weren't exactly the most fit person, so it wasn't like a hard muscle. It was just. Anyway,
I'm
aside
sorry.
from shivving somebody, so I ended up going into Stormont Vale West, which was an emergency crisis center. And when they put me in there, it was I understood why I was there. I worked and worked at it, and eventually, more or less, got better. But one of the things that I realized while I was in there was that a lot of the people there, just needed somebody to talk to. They didn't need like round the care people with their eyes on them. A lot of the people that had come in for like suicidal tendencies or people that had been forcibly committed for that kind of thing, they
God,
just wanted somebody to talk to, and the staff ignored them. There was
What is that movie called? What is that movie called?
One Flew
when you
Over the
said
Cuckoo's Nest, probably.
no, another one. I watched it in school because it was you when you said that patients just needed care and attention and also just a laugh. Patch Adams. Patch Adams.
Patch Adams. Well, mental health maybe, but there
Yeah,
are people that
but-
are a genuine danger. Don't try to Patch Adams everybody.
Of course not, but
but-
most of it, as you said, was just needed someone to talk to.
Yeah. Well, the entire concept of it was, and I make no assumptions about her race. This is just a descriptor of her. There was this big angry black lady, and she was one of the doctors. But because of the facility itself that I had been transferred to, because I went from Stormont Vale West to the Rainbow facility. Yeah, I don't know why, but we actually have a Rainbow Road in Kansas, just so you know.
The Rainbow
It
Road.
might be Missouri. I'm not sure how long we traveled, but it was in Kansas City. I'm not sure which one, because there's 2. But,
Oh, that's not confusing at all.
yeah, Kansas City, Missouri. But I had ended up in the Rainbow facility, and it was notoriously shit. But because this doctor felt that they needed to, they carried a gun at all times. Didn't talk to anybody. Was actively mean to the other patients. So I end up sitting in a corner most of the time because somebody like shock and awed the TV, which is beyond irritating. Like I
What
don't
do
know
they
if
do?
y'all know what shock and awe means. Basically,
Yep, I do.
they had run up to the TV and just kicked it full force with their shoe on and just busted out the TV. Didn't work no more. So now the TV's got this like glass box around it.
Oh my
And
God.
nobody's allowed to mess with it except for the doctors. And this lady watched the goddamn Jerry Springer show Maury shit, like the daytime trash TV constantly. So
Are you
nobody
kidding me?
Nobody
Ugh.
cared about what this lady
That
was
stuff's
watching.
bad for people with mental health issues.
So-
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, but like,
that'll fuck you up.
So I was always sitting in the corner because I didn't want to hear it. I was at the furthest corner away from the TV, and people would keep coming up to me and talking to me. And I'm trying to figure out why the hell these people want anything to do with me. I'm just the weird kid in the corner. And it turns out that they'd been coming to me because they just needed somebody to talk to. They just needed somebody to be like, yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah, that shit sucks. And like 3 of them ended up getting released before me, and then I ended up getting released finally. Because of how these facilities work, like you don't get full names, you don't get like phone numbers, email addresses, you can't stay in contact with these people. But I ended up seeing, oh God, what was her name? This little tiny little thing. Like she couldn't have been more than 19. But
Oh, when you said
her name,
little, I was thinking Eden's twin.
I swear to God.
but she was she's named Phoenix. But like we had ended up
Of course.
meeting each other on the outside. I don't know who named her Phoenix. It's one of those things, but it's
That's
a bad
okay.
name.
I knew a girl named Princess once.
That's terrible. But anyway,
That's
so
a terrible
I ended up
name,
seeing
luckily.
Phoenix because they had I had been like donating to this food bank in Lawrence for a little while before I was you know, having all my problems. And then I had been donating, so I went in with like that month's check, and I ended up seeing Phoenix, and they were using the food bank. We sit there and talk for a while, and they said thank you, and I was like, what? I was giving this to them. Like I didn't even understand it. I still don't understand it, but apparently there are some people genuinely out there that just need to talk to somebody who's not going to be a dick to them. I have been rambling for like 5 minutes. I am sorry.
I can
I-
actually understand where
funny.
you're coming from, like what you're saying, because before I met you, I won't get into it, but when I told you the things I did, I was bottling all of that for months to the point it was literally deteriorating me, and I was starting to want to end my life. And I was reaching the end of my rope. I was in the constant cycle emotionally, and after I talked to you, I felt the biggest weight lifted off my shoulders, and
Oh my god.
I talked for hours that night. And
Yeah.
I needed it more than anything.
Just having someone to talk to can do so much. Like, I'm gonna open up a little bit more about myself. I came from, Buns, you know this one. I came from a rather abusive relationship where they literally threatened to come to Canada and eat me.
They were in divorce, so they basically made it seem like, well, it's already my fetish to eat people. I will fucking cannibalize. Like this person drove terror into them. It was horrifying.
And then when I just talked with Buns, when I talked with the friends that I have now, it was like a weight off my shoulder. I didn't have to feel fear of talking and being silenced into fear of, oh my god, this person might come to eat me. That kind of messes you up.
When you're in an abusive relationship and environment, when you talk to people who are on the outside, you tell them what you are going through. Because what the abuser will do is they will gaslight you, they will tell you you're too sensitive and they will shut you down. So you bottle it up and you just think they're right, they're the victim, or they're right, I'm an asshole, or whatever they plant into your head. So when you talk to people and you say what your side is, like Ichabod told me that when I talked about my abuse that I told him about, he recognized it because I was defending the actions of the person that I was talking about to the
Yeah,
point where
it sounds very similar to beaten wife syndrome. Like
Yeah.
if you've ever dealt with somebody who's been in a physically abusive relationship, oftentimes they'll blame themselves because they're conditioned to do so.
and
Oh yeah, that'll happen.
so when you talk to people who won't do that to you, you will blame obviously you'll blame yourself, but then they'll tell you what you needed to hear. You shouldn't be blaming yourself for the abuse you're going through. You haven't done anything wrong.
No, you
And
haven't.
hearing those words validated, hearing you're not crazy, that something is wrong and you need to get out, and you had this gut feeling and you kept ignoring it, and then other people see what you have had this feeling about who don't even know the situation other than everything you've talked about. That
And
is
they-
what you need.
Yeah, and hell, if you're being dense enough, hell, Bum's gonna attest to this one. You can outright force them to block the offending person. And you know what? Give them shit for I gave them a ton of shit for it at the time, but looking back on it, it was the healthiest thing I ever did. It was like ripping out a rusted sword, and it's like it'll be extremely painful to remove. It'll be more painful and deadly if you don't remove it.
The thing is about things hard for some people, but if you're getting to the point of like suicidal and you're extremely depressed, think about the people you're interacting with. If you're interacting with people and they make you happy, they make you feel safe, they help you improve as a person, keep those people. If you're around people and you always feel really exhausted around them, sad, angry, you're never happy around them, sort of thing, then leave them. And I know that sounds really easy, but if you think about it, it's actually incredibly hard because you convinced yourself that that these people are actually really good people, good down, they're just having a bad day or something like that. But it's
Or
like,
that you're the problem and that you're just too sensitive and they're just putting up with you, and you should feel grateful that they're dealing with you.
yeah,
Oh yeah, those. Yeah, that's always fun.
I've
as soon as you
and
get all those people out of your life, health will greatly improve. Trust me on this.
And-
And your health will greatly more improve if you hang around with a friend that actively, makes your life better.
one thing I do want to you go.
Oh, her mic glitches sometimes. I don't think
Okay.
she was saying anything.
One thing I do want to say is actually, we're on the topic of cancel culture. Cancel culture is another reason people don't want to escape their abuse or toxic relationships or something, because those people will use cancel culture to go after this person. I won't get into it, but I am a recent victim of cancel culture. I had to delete my YouTube, my Twitter, which was my main source of income and commissions, and that took a big blow to me mentally. And I have even read people literally saying that I would be better off dead, laughing at the fact that I've been so depressed and horrifically mentally low about myself that, in their words, no one would care about the sad little life they live, and the sad little death is a perfect ending for them. And that shit destroys you. Because people will just say, oh, well, it's just people on the internet. It's just words on a screen. But here's the thing. Those words don't come from a robot. Those words come from a human being. And that human being is dehumanizing you. Because the minute someone says you don't deserve life, they are treating you like scum. They are treating you like the worst scum of the earth, like a rapist, a person who lies about rape, a pedophile,
Enabler or supporter.
yeah. basically they treat you like below the scum, and if you are not one of those things, it mentally fucking destroys you. Because
Yeah, it really does.
and people need to understand that just because someone says something to you on the internet doesn't mean it shouldn't hurt, doesn't mean it can't hurt, because those are still people on the other end of the screen. If you met that person face to face and they said something that would hurt, just because they say it and they type it out rather than standing in front of you doesn't mean it can and shouldn't hurt any less, and you deserve the right to feel upset about it, and no one has the right to tell you that you are invalid. And I want to make that clear to the audience. No one has the right to tear you down. No one has the right to tell you you deserve to die, and you have the right to be upset.
And I want to add something to that. I want to add that especially to the younger viewers and the ones who are left out in rural areas and whatnot, you are valid. Because especially there, people won't get it. They won't get that you're being bullied. They won't get that being online is something just as real as offline.
I
Then-
don't have a lot of young viewers, just saying.
Well, it still would make sense to say
Yeah, no,
it
I'm just
because-
saying. I don't have that many young viewers.
to the younger viewers.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but seriously, they'll say it's not real, and it's the complete opposite. You need to stand up for yourself. It's one of the hardest things to do, but if something's going wrong, talk about it. Talk to anyone that will listen. I don't care if it's even the kid in the corner of the classroom or your
Get me out of this.
coworker. or your coworker who you think is an absolute piece of garbage. Talk to somebody and then get the help that you need, whether or not it is in a hospital or not. If you're not in a good position, go online for the help. Go to an online therapy thing. Go to anywhere you can go where people will listen to you. Get away from the toxicity.
And what I want to point out is if you are talking to someone who is a therapist and you do have help and someone is trying to tell you that that person isn't real because they say something like toxic or gaslighting and it's made up or Tumblr language, get the fuck out of that relationship with that person, whoever the fuck they are, because they are doing damage to you. They are making you convinced that gaslighting, toxicity, things that are real, that are clinically that are clinical medical professional language and criteria for mental health aren't real. That is ultimately going to fuck with you. Do not stay in that position.
To adopt, I've adopted this mentality recently. It's really helped me. It might be different for other people, but it's good. I would say adopt the mentality of if someone's being an absolute arse to you, just tell them.
It's
Fuck
a
off.
little hard if someone has power.
No, I understand it is going to be hard. Basically, done it enough times, it gets a lot easier.
No, that's not what I mean. There are people who, if they're an asshole with you, say that they have a YouTube channel or a sub count or something.
Or in a position
Right.
of authority over you at work or held government, military.
There are people I'm
Okay.
going to
Hmm.
I was a foster child and the foster care system itself, God, they are part of the government, and when you're in foster care, they're supposed to be the people that got you out of a situation and are supposed to be helping you, but they could even be destroying you and you are trapped in that situation and
Oh.
you can't fight back.
Okay, yeah, I understand. I misunderstood. Sorry about
No,
that.
I completely understand. It's just there are times people are in certain positions where they can't stand up because it could do detriment of some sort. There are people who have power over you, and
Yeah.
that's another reason it could push people to feel trapped. That's why I felt trapped for a while.
So,
Yeah,
Like,
I
one
understand.
thing that we're going to do, before the end of the show is we're going to briefly go with a panel question. We're going to do the usual would you rather $1 million fuck questions. That's just Citrus Quest. We all know it's coming. Waiting for
God
the
damn it.
existential dread of that statement.
Oh no.
But
I
am
have
going to
existential crises every day. This is just filling my quota.
But I am going to ask a single panel question to everybody before we move on to that. Steam, did you want to say something before that?
Yeah, I actually, Neko, you want to say something to me? I thought you said Steam. I was like,
Oh yeah, I was just going to quickly say that Steam did have a valid point with what they were saying in terms of an equal relationship or a relationship that's just getting started. If you're dug in deep into the trenches, there you can't tell someone to F off, especially if they're in a position of power. But if it's a person who's equal to you, or you're both strangers to each other, yeah, go right ahead, tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I just wanted to put in from experience that there are positions and places of time.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
But there are certainly times where you can do it, and
Oh, yeah.
damn is it satisfying.
Oh hell yeah, I've done it recently.
Alright. So, the panel question, to go back to our original topic, is let's say, hypothetically, somebody came out with an allegation like this about you. For the thought experiment, it is a false allegation. However, they have a much larger audience than you, and it is believed that you actually engaged in this physical abuse. Let's start with how would that make you feel, and then how would you react? We'll start at the far left-hand side, which for me is Steam. How would you feel if such a situation happened, and how would you react to it?
well, normally, there are also mental abusers, majority of the time. So in text conversations, there is always a bunch of evidence that they've been abusive to you, and it's always even if the conversation looks tame, it could be incredibly abusive. It looks tame, but then again, you're probably conditioned to think it's tame. But then you show it to an outsider, and they're like, "Holy shit, this is abusive." So I would say screenshots I had with this person. Then you would probably, show the evidence of the mental abuse. And with the physical abuse, the thing is, if you're completely 100% honest with it, things should be okay. And also talk to friends and trusted people about it too. I would say come out with it, be honest, be completely 100% honest about it, and if they're still coming after you, you kind of just have to get bored and move on to the next person.
Fair enough.
It's harsh, but it sometimes that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. Eden.
I actually can answer this because I was in this position a few months ago. There was an individual who tried accusing me of pedophilia with literally doctored screenshots. They were disproven. And how I handled the situation at first was it actually made me fairly physically ill to the point I wound up in the hospital with the anxiety it caused. They tried convincing a person with a large audience that I was a pedophile, and it scared the shit out of me because this person would believe accusations blindly, so I was terrified beyond measure. But how I handled the situation was I talked to extremely close friends. I was terrified, and I asked for support and advice, and hey, I need you to hear my side. I have evidence. Could you look at it? Could you look at my side? I can disprove this. And then they helped me get out the word of how it was false. They defended me. And even if those people aren't in my life right now for reasons of recent, I do want them to know if they ever hear this that I am and always will be extremely grateful for the time they helped me with that. Because I do have children in my family, and God forbid someone tried to make a report against my family for those accusations and try to do something to get those children away. God forbid something happened with that.
Yeah.
So that's what I can say. And as I want to point out what Steam said about emotional abuse being a text message, seeming to the naked eye person who doesn't have context, just normal conversation.
Mhm.
You're spot on, Steam. It is it's a conditioning, it's grooming, and it's mental and psychological abuse. Even if physical abuse does a lot of damage, it is some of the most damaging abuse because it fucks with your perception of your reality and what is okay, such as things of consent.
It's brainwashing.
It is, and it's severe. But if
My-
you are,
My philosophy is I would much rather get beaten up than be psychologically abused, because when you get beaten up, the bruises heal. When you're psychologically abused,
Those can be permanent.
I
Yeah.
can,
yeah.
you know, as someone who has been in both situations, I can actually attest that the physical abuse, it does do damage to you, obviously, because it instills fear into you for actions, but psychological abuse is deeply rooted and will probably take years.
It'll take you so long.
It can be
To
something you
undo.
have to live with for the rest of your life. But
Yeah.
to move on to, is that basically the answer to the question? I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the answer. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No. No.
Nexus, same question.
So basically, if I had allegations against myself,
Allegations
would-
of physical abuse, yes.
physical abuse allegations,
Yeah.
you know, I'm gonna be a little different, honestly. I would wait. I would wait for it to die down. I would wait for the rush to die. And there's a very particular reason why I would do. It's because it would allow everyone time for it to settle, because there is this mentality online where whoever fires first is right. So I would wait for it to die down, gathering evidence on my side, gathering testimonies, gathering everything that I can on my side, and then release my own statement after the what's the word that I'm looking
The
for?
storm.
The storm, yes. Because then the people who really matter, the people who are paying attention, the people who are waiting for the response and not just wanting to get a quick punch in, would be there to see it. Everyone who just wanted the chance to beat down on someone would be gone, and they'd move on to their next target. But the people who were there and actually cared about the specific incident would see my response, and they would see it was not just I didn't do it. It's I didn't do, and here's the proof on my side.
Yeah, so you'd go with the basically the pro-Jared approach.
Yep, basically.
May I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Adding to that, if you are in that, this is added to my situation with that, but if you are in the situation where you are trying to stay calm, not create, because people who do create even if they're innocent, if they create a reaction of hostility or anger or violent, verbally violent, it will give the instance of being guilty, and panicking. But if you are also in this situation, I want to let people know that if you are in a situation and you have a serious accusation against you, or you have people coming after you, and it is okay to shut down your social media accounts. It is not a sign of guilt. It is if people are coming after you, it is affecting your mental and physical health, and you're getting spammed and tagged and stalked and harassed. It is okay to shut social media areas down for a while you collect yourself and you gather your time and energy. It is perfectly all right.
Steam, you
Yeah.
wanted to say something?
Yes, I actually. This might not be a big deal for most people, but I do want to publicly apologize to Pro Jared because I did retweet some accusations came out. I did retweet some memes and made a couple of jokes on his expense at the time.
I mean, to be fair, most of the allegations that were put out were exaggerated but not untrue. He did still wear the Sailor Moon cosplay, and he still had his dick out, but not to underage people. So,
Yes, but I do want to publicly apologize for that.
no, understandable.
And
It's
same,
yeah.
because I had a very
Visceral reaction.
yes, and it was very bad because it's like, oh my god, this person who was my childhood, because I used to grow up watching him
Oh,
from
yeah,
13
I did too.
from 13 on, and it was great. And then to see it, I was like, oh my god, you've ruined my childhood. You've ruined this so much for me. And then when I saw his video, I was like, oh my god, I am a terrible person because
Visceral
Eat.
reactions are one thing. Like, we're all
Yeah.
going to have that natural visceral reaction. That said, the allegations themselves against sending things to underage fans was clearly not the case. Jared is not a predatory pedo. He is not. He still, like,
He's still a
I get where he's
cheater.
coming from. Because the concept of, like, dick upon request, it happens. Like, I am quite sure there are people out there who have seen my penis. They are 18, because I'm smart enough to check ID. But it's always been a thing of it is available upon request, and the reason for that is so that people, like, it's not going to come out later. A lot of my personal stuff that would be considered super personal like that is out there, and the reason it is out there is so I can shrug it off later. Because it's going to be used. It's always going to be used. Anything you
Yeah.
say, anything you do, it's going to be used later. That's part of being on the internet. But
That being said, if you do have sexual content you've given to someone in private, they do not have the right to release that. It is illegal. Report it
they
to the
don't.
police if they do.
yeah, and that's completely fair. And as someone who, as Buns will know, is a rather very sexual person, and as someone who's also poly, there's a lot of respect that has to go into that, and it's just, it terrifies me when people are disrespectful about it, because it's like, oh my god.
Or they just use it and say they're polyamorous to use it to cheat on people.
Oh my god, I hate that.
let's
I
not
hate
get
that
into
so
that.
much.
We are starting to run out of time, and we have questions.
Sorry.
So let's not quite get
I
into
do-
that. We can do a stream at another time about the
I-
concept of polyamory.
I'm
'Cause that is
No,
a
it's fine. I do want to say
huge
that
topic to get into.
if someone does leak your nudes, sue them. You can sue them in small claims, or you could probably sue them. Doesn't matter. Sue
It
them.
can be both
bring
a
it to the
criminal
police.
and a civil charge. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to
Is
go
it
through
r-
the questions now. while
Yeah.
I have a
I-
chance before we get diverged again.
Yeah, let's.
I just want to say one final thing about
Okay.
this, and this is something that's a character thing for me. Is it wrong if for myself, not for anyone else, but just for me, if someone were to leak my nudes, I would be actually totally okay with that?
I mean,
Okay.
if you're okay with it personally, that's you. But again, people don't have the right to do that, and
Yeah.
it can be.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm
Moving
saying
on.
that if they did it, I would not be personally offended.
We do have some questions in the chat, and as per Citrus Quest rules, I have to read them out and give people a chance to answer. Let's try to keep them towards short responses, just because we are running out of time. Gundoge Mark II asks, question for the girls here: do you believe the man has a right to defend himself against an abusive woman?
Yes.
Yes.
100%. Listen, women can abuse men. That is a stereotype that like I hate the stereotype that men cannot be abused or they're a cuck if they're abused by a woman. I knew someone who said that. It pisses me off. You are absolutely valid. If you are a man being abused by a woman, yes, you have the absolute goddamn right to stand up for yourself.
I went the good
The
way
woman,
of picking the
the woman
clapping
was
avatar.
hitting you, hit her back.
Oof.
Actually, no. I'm
depends
gonna
on the
say-
no, if
situation.
someone, if a woman's constantly punching you in the face,
Oh yeah, no, in that
you have the right to
situation.
hit them back.
No, absolutely. You have the right to defend. If self-defense, you have that absolute right. I
Yeah.
actually know someone who defended himself against his abusive wife, and he got in legal trouble for it because of the laws in the state at the time, and it destroyed his life. Like it literally, he was homeless. They took away his right for carrying a weapon around because to protect himself in his state. He's been robbed and mugged, and it's absolutely horrible. But yes, you have the absolute right as a man to defend yourself against a woman.
Okay.
Damn
That's why we
straight.
need male abuse shelters.
Yeah, there
Yep.
does need to be male abuse centers.
There it is.
Next question. Carnelia, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Carnelian Fox.
Carnelian Fox asks, I may be projecting a bit with this, but is it normal to be afraid of hurting another person, even if it would mean protecting yourself? My answer to that is no. It's I wouldn't say that it's abnormal, but people do that quite often. And in my case, like, you need to protect yourself. Sometimes it's okay to be selfish, but let's see what the rest of the panel thinks.
I'll give the floor and give my answer afterwards.
Actually, I can empathize with Carnelian Fox on that one because I'm afraid of the legal action that could be taken against me if I were to hurt someone, and I am afraid of what they could do back if I hurt them. And also, I just don't like hurting people in general, unless they're like a bug. I don't like hurting things because I know how it feels to be hurt. I've seen horrific tragedies in the world, and I don't want to become a monster. I think we had this discussion last night, but in your words, we should not become the monster just because the monsters hurt us.
Yeah.
People are naturally empathetic. Naturally empathetic. So of course hurting someone is completely normal. But self-defense is more important.
And yeah, it's for me especially, it's very normal to be afraid of hurting another person, because this is probably something that will surprise a lot of people. I've never thrown a punch at someone.
I've actually never punched someone either, now that I think about it.
Yeah. It's because I always have that fear of I'm actually going to hurt them, and I will wrestle them to the ground, but I will do it in a way where I am protecting myself, but I'm also not letting them hurt themselves.
I think the only time I've ever hurt someone is when I was like 12 years old. Someone pushed me in front of a moving car, so I blacked out, and then when I came to, apparently I broke the kid's leg with a cinder block, but that was a blackout, and I don't remember it. I just...
Okay then. Steam, the answer to the question.
Which question?
Oh shit, where the hell were we?
Oh, it was the question of, is it normal to...
Be afraid of hurting another person.
Even if it is to protect yourself.
Or to be afraid of another person. I think if it's not normal to be afraid of hurting another person, either you're a completely normal person, you're just more, you're just mentally different, or personal case,
Thank you.
it can be an extremist problem. But for a character answer, I would say, nah, yeah, it's totally weird. You should hurt people all the time. It gets me off.
all right. CGI asks, do you think that public callouts solve anything? And Fireball asks, after that, do you think there's a proper edict with callouts and how you should handle one?
I think they meant the word etiquette.
Yeah,
Maybe?
etiquette.
Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
No, I was saying that to Ichabod for just nailing the English language right there. I grew up in French immersion, and even I got that.
That's an oof.
Oh la la.
Well, who should answer the question first?
We can go with the normal order of Steam, then Buttons, then Nexus, if you'd like.
Sure.
The question.
Okay,
Do you think that public callouts solve anything, and is there a proper etiquette in handling one?
Oh, sometimes they solve stuff. I know there was a case with a few YouTubers that were in very abusive relationships, and the internet actually helped them get out of it. Pulled them out. I would say go to the police first, and if the police don't help, then go to the internet. And it can help sometimes, but yeah, you just have to be 100% honest and not be about it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
My answer, I don't know how to answer because I've had a history with callouts, unfortunately, on both ends of being called out against and calling out someone else, and both times have been horrendous. But when it comes to things, I think like pedophiles that aren't known about, and you want to protect the children of the community, or zoophiles or something, and obviously people always are like, oh, we'll go to the police, but the problem is, and I've been in the situation, the police will ask you, well, what's their legal name and where do they live? They will ask you that, and if you don't have that, you do need to make the call out to keep people safe and make them aware. But I do think that there are times to do it and there are times not to do it. If you are in an abusive relationship, if someone is harassing and stalking you, or there's defamation, if someone is using their power on the platform to make sure to silence you, obviously try to go to the police at first if it is severe, especially if it is someone you've been romantically involved with and they're still abusing you, because there is actually, if someone has been romantically involved with you and they are making posts about you, they're revealing information about you. Hi Gigi. If they're harassing you online and a lot of things, that is actually considered abuse, and it can hold up in the court of law for a restraining order. Hi, yes, I know. But sorry, my cat.
He's doing a little bit of harassing right now.
Yeah, she. Hi there, Furtado. But yeah, again, I guess it depends upon the situation, and it's difficult. That's all I can say.
For me, I definitely do think that callouts do work, but it first of all depends on the severity of it. If it's just an online feud, like something very small, then just deal with it between yourselves. But the first thing that I would do always is pursue legal route. And then if legal routes and the police can't do anything just because of either legal names or because the police department is incompetent or whatever, then go online and do the call out, because you've pursued every route that you can and you've had no success. And for proper etiquette, just state the fact. Just basically the way that I would do it is just pretend you're a reporter. Just pretend that you're supposed to be a journalist on the situation. Just report the facts.
Yeah, don't try to mudsling, don't try to insult. That'll just be immature and it won't do you any good.
There's no way to do it professionally.
No, there is. You know, if you're just calling someone dumb, retarded, FAGGOT, you know, if you are like actually just mudslinging, it does look unprofessional. And
that's what I meant. There's no way to mudsling professionally.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries. I worded that horribly.
And when it comes to legal action, especially if you are a child being preyed on by an adult, don't let someone intimidate you into not seeking legal action. If you are absolutely able, you have the proof and the ability, seek legal action. Fuck what people say. That's the tea.
Woo! Spill that tea like the American you are.
Oh my god. Wow. I am respectful of my tea. How dare you? I drink it like a fine, refined citizen.
Alright,
Could
so
you- could you say
we
your
are
name?
technically over time, so we will
I'm
only do
sorry.
one round of the Would You Rather, and I'm gonna stick it to the panel for this time because, like I said, we're over time. So everybody gets to ask or be asked a Would You Rather $1 million buck question, and of course, because I like making her uncomfortable, we're gonna start with Steam.
I didn't think.
Wait, what?
You know the questions are coming at the end of every stream. I don't know how in the hell.
I forget. I forget. All right, let me see.
Yeah, we are about 12 minutes over time.
$1 million, but you would have to go to Orgy Island.
Who are you asking?
Ichabod.
I have to go to what?
Orgy Island.
I mean, is it at least a good orgy? Like, has
It's
everybody been
Orgy Island.
tested?
No, it's the Epstein Island.
Oh no, thank you. Not my cup of tea, thank you.
Do you want to go to the Epstein Islands? Is everyone tested?
You don't have to have sex with them. You just have to
Did
go
you
to
say
the island.
Epstein Island or the Orgy Island?
Epstein Island.
Oh yeah,
It's
no,
basically
not
Orgy
happening. I thought you said
You
the
don't have
Orgy
to have
Island.
sex.
I'm like,
Island.
I don't know what that
Have sex with
means,
anyone
but
there.
if it's what I think it
funny
means.
because like you misheard it, so you're just like, as everyone tested. Oh, no, it's a child process. Oh no.
Oh, you mean the Epstein? Yeah, no, I have no intent of ever.
I'm just saying, you don't
dealing
have
with
to
that
have
shit.
sex with any of the people there. You just have to go to the island.
No,
That's it.
I don't even want to be around that shit.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Why?
Why? I'm
Because I'm an evil person.
You fit your character so well.
I mean, he has to chloroform me and chain me up, so I would actually do Citrus Quest with him. Jesus Christ! Because he knows I would kill him.
Oh, it's only
Stinky.
once a week. Alright, so,
I'll
Buttons,
kill
your
you,
turn. You
Neil.
can ask anybody here a Would You Rather $1 million butt question.
Okay, I want to think of a good one.
Uh,
I am the reigning king of these questions.
Oh, okay. I'll take it on that. I'll take it on that. Okay. $1 million question. You have to choose between these two universes: Human Centipede or Boku no Pico. Which do you choose?
oh,
Who
I
are you
know
asking?
Melody.
Oh, I have to choose. Nexus?
Oh god, they're gonna look horrible either way.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. I do know what both of them are, and I would choose Boku no Pico
Oh my God.
for one reason. Human Centipede can give you diseases, and I would rather not die a horrible death.
Okay.
Horrible anal face disease. Death by pink eye.
I would, because you see, the thing is that even though you're in that universe, you don't have to do anything.
That's
True.
Fair
So I would still have my morals.
Hey, this is the what the fuck hour. I brought the what the fuck. I was challenged.
Alright, Nexus, go ahead.
Okay. Mine is a rather simple one, but can have big complications. $1 million question. 2 universes. 1. You have poor short-term memory, but good long-term memory. Or the universe where you have good short-term memory, but poor long-term memory. And I'm asking Steam.
Maybe a bad choice. He's got shit long-term memory already.
Oh, she's already living the universe.
Do you want the chance to remember things more than 5 minutes ago?
Don't be Dory.
Bad, I forgot the question.
And there goes the short term.
Okay, so either live in the universe of good short-term memory but long poor-term memory, or universe with poor short-term memory and good long-term memory.
I would have the good short-term memory, because then if it's a long-term memory, I can actually just like take pictures or take notes and
And you don't have to leave this universe. Great.
And now it's my turn.
Yeah, we're just doing necessarily.
Oh,
I know,
no.
I know what you're trying to do, but do you actually know what you're doing? No, I guess I really don't.
What
So
am I
guess I'm
hearing?
confused.
My
Yeah.
brother was talking to me.
Oh, okay. So, I'm trying to decide whether to be nice or to be a horrible human being.
Oh,
Be a
no.
horrible human being.
Oh, okay, I see how it is. Oh, no.
So, I'm gonna go ahead and be slightly nice and not ask Buttons this one and instead ask Nexus.
Yay.
Okay.
Would you rather... I'm gonna pause for effect because Steam knows how bad these get.
Oh no.
Would you rather be penetrated fully by a live infant in a glass tube, so when it goes inside, it cries and vibrates the entire time, or swallow 18 live babies in a single setting, but one of them has a grenade and you have to pick which one has the grenade? And if you pick the right one, you don't have to eat that one, but still have to eat all the others. If you pick the wrong one, you have to eat all of them and then explode.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to remain consistent and on theme with things that I've talked about on this podcast. I would take the baby being penetrating because I'm not into eating babies. And also, there's not a bloody fucking grenade.
I mean, to be fair, I at no point mentioned whether or not the glass tube breaks.
I don't care.
I love how I'm the protected status and I get asked nothing. I win.
I'm just pointing out that this was either vor or anal vor.
I
just you know what, Ichabod, you're a horrible person.
Vin would
Considering
apparently
that's-
eat the babies.
considering it's one of the Nexus's triggers, I'm just like, oh my god, you are actually fucking horrible.
I did not know that was a trigger, but now I do, and I will avoid it in the future.
I'm
Ladies
fine
and
with
gentlemen,
talk-
boys and
I'm
girls,
fine with
children of all
talking.
ages, those of you who are watching tonight, I would like to thank you all for tuning in for Citrus Quest. I have been joined by my lovely co-host, Miss Steam.
yeah, these chains.
Not until we're done. The principal mage of puns, Nexus.
Heyo, when can I get in the chains?
Oh my god.
Oof. And, of course, our local authority in cinnamon rolls and the dark roast bean, Buttons.
I will sneak into your house at 3 a.m. tonight and eat chips while you're trying to sleep next to your head for saying that.
Wait, didn't we have something about potatoes earlier that
Yes,
you said?
yes, we
Listen,
did. It's
My
the same
threats are
threat.
my threats are all potato chips based.
Don't get crumbs on the mattress. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you always to remember that it doesn't matter what flavor you are, at Citrus Quest you belong, and I would like to remind you all that tomorrow for Ventress Quest we will be reading 50 Shades of Paleontology. We will be having Kadunk there to do the raptor noises because she has insisted on that concept. I don't know if we'll have Miss Steam, but we also will apparently have It's a Glitch thing on for this horrifying concept.
Oh no, that's the dinosaur erotica, isn't it?
Yes, that is the dinosaur erotica. So,
No bones about it.
oh god, what? So we're going to lead out with the art crawl. Remember, if you want to commission any of the artists, just grab a screen cap of the picture and send it to me on Twitter at CitrusQuest, and I can give you the artist's name for you to be able to hit them up for commissions on any of the art that you've seen. We do have a merch shop. Feel free to take a look at that. And, of course, as always, the donation link is in the description if you want at any point to go ahead and send us some sort of, I don't know, I guess a bonus, whatever. I don't know.
Bonus?
A bonus. God damn it! Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. And...
Peace.
I tried, and I tried even more. I cried, and I can't recall what for. I pressed, I pushed, I yelled, I begged in hopes of some success. But the inevitable fact is that it never will impress. I've no more fucks to give, my fucks have runneth dry. I've tried to go fuck shopping, but there's no fucks left to buy. I've no more fucks to give, though more fucks I've tried to get. I'm over my fuck budget and I'm now in fucking debt. I strive to get everything done. I've played by all the rules, but I've very rarely won. I've smiled, I've charmed, I've wooed and laughed, alas, to no avail. I've run round like a moron to unequivocally fail. I've no more fucks to give, my fuck fuse has just blown. I've been hunting for my fucks all day, but they've upped and fucked off home. I've no more fucks to give, my fuck rations are depleted. I've rallied my fuck army, but it's been fucking defeated. The effort has just not been worth the time or the expense. I've exhausted all my energy for minimal recompense. The distinct lack of acknowledgement has now begun to gall, and I've come to realize that I don't give a fuck at all. I've no more fucks to give, my fucks have flown away. My fucks are now so fucked off they refuse to fucking stay. I've no more fucks to give, my fucks have gone insane. They've come back round and passed me while they're fucking off again. I've no more fucks to give, my fucks have all dissolved. I plan many projects, but my fucks won't be involved. I've no more fucks to give, my fucks have all been spent. They fucked off from the building and I don't know where they went. I've no more fucks to give.